Hey everyone, welcome to episode 256 of 15, and not even close to 15 with Randy. Hey guys, it's a special edition of the show, and it's because, if you were paying attention, and I'm sure you were, if you tuned in online this past week, there was nothing happening new. It was a replay of last week's worship services. If you showed up at the door at Whole Life Church, the doors were locked because there was nobody there. So if you drove to Camp Kalakwa, I would assume that, as usual, you had a great time. So those were the three options because last week was our annual church retreat. I was not there. It was my daughter's 15th birthday, and when she found out that her friends were not going to be there, she decided that a beach day was in the plans, and so home we were. So next time you see me, hit me up with your stories from retreats. Always good to hear about all the fun and memory making and all the activities that looked like we're going to be fantastic for retreat as always. And speaking of the next time you will see me, if you tune into The Loop this coming Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can do that by using our website, wholelife.church/live. Of course, you can always show up in person. You will find me sitting behind the big desk on the stage as a host of our interactive service called The Loop. Within that service, we take your comments, your questions, and your prayer requests all in real time to better connect ourselves as the body of Christ. So even if you're in-house, you decided to come, show up in person, grab your phone, log into the website, log into the chat roll, and send us your comments, your feedback. Of course, you can do that on our Facebook page as well, as the service is streamed there live. And you're not going to want to miss this week. Well, because I'm going to be there, right? No. You're not going to want to miss this week because it is the beginning of our annual Voices Within Our Church community series, also known as the Members Series. This is my favorite time of year. I say it every year, and I mean it every single year. My favorite time of year on the podcast because I get to meet new people and deepen friendships with those I already know. We do our best here on the podcast to catch up with each speaker and introduce them to you each week, help you get to know them a little bit better. And this year, it's going to be about people's journeys. And so I am really excited. I think last year, I'm trying to remember if last year was Text Me or if that was 2 years ago. I'd have to go back and look. But it's always a good time to get to know each other more as a community, and this is a great way to do it. And it's always fun to just hear somebody else preach and see how they do it, the stories they tell, so you definitely don't want to miss it. And this week, we're leading off with Chad Hess. And many of you may know Chad as our former AV technology director for years, as Florida Hospital Church, and he helped us make the transition as Abel took over that position, but just an overall great guy with an amazing family. So we always take overflow questions from the Loop, Q&A. So after they get done preaching, we have a Q&A with the host, and as you are on the chat roll or Facebook live feeds, you can send in questions about the message and maybe ask for clarification or what about this, play a little devil's advocate if you'd like. And we always take those overflow questions and we tackle them here on the podcast on the following week. So make sure that you log in to chat roll again once you're on the website, and you can submit your questions that way. Of course, our Facebook page, and you can ask questions there. And we're not going to probably have time to get to all of them. Rarely do we. And then the following week, we'll tackle them here. So next week, hopefully, we'll get back to life as normal. I'll be sending out an invitation to Chad to join us here on the podcast next week for next Wednesday. And of course, if you don't catch the message until after Saturday for some reason, of course, you can always catch it in the archives, or you can catch it on our sister podcast, Speaking of Grace, which comes out every Tuesday evening. His message, of course, will be there. And as always, if you missed all of that, but you catch it later, you can always send us your questions via text or voicemail to 407-965-1607 or as an email to podcast@wholelife.church, and we will get to them. So here is your invitation. Come and see The Loop if you haven't, and if you have and you enjoyed it, We look forward to seeing you, and I'm looking forward to hosting something new that I haven't done before, filling in for Stanley this week, who is on vacation someplace cold and wintry, having fun. So that's a great thing. So that's going to do it this week. Tune into The Loop on Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m. or visit us in person if you're local or if you're just a regular member, and come prepared to ask questions and be involved. And then next Tuesday, speaking of grace, check that sermon if you missed it. And of course, next Wednesday, we'll be here, hopefully, fingers crossed, with Chad to discuss what he talked about. And that'll be episode 257. So thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great week.